morning everyone, and welcome to the first vlog of 2024. I am so excited for this year. Hubby and I have got so much planned and I can't wait to share it with you over the next sort of 12 months, and a lot of it will be happening in the first 6 months. Not in this vlog though, you'll just have to wait. But last year, as you may have heard in some of the previous vlogs, last year was actually a pretty tough year, not only for me business wise but also within our family and personal life. So family, my health and all that sort of stuff. It was a pretty tough year, and every time I was taking a step forward I was getting pushed back 2 or 3 steps with everything, not just my business. And it all got to the point that by the time we got to November I was like, I'm over it, I'm over being an adult, I'm just going to live the next 2 months and wait until 2024 starts and just not even bother for the last 2 months. I still did everything I was meant to do, but I gave up trying to plan anything, that sort of thing. I just thought, I'm going to wait until 2024 and I'm going to restart fresh. And that's exactly what I've done, and I feel so good for it. And I can't wait to start sharing some of the things we have planned. Now I say we because, and often people say, I don't understand why people say we or our when it's a one-person business. Like, you only ever really see me doing the business, even though this is my baby and I have grown it myself. I work in it, I come up with everything myself, I make all the decisions and all that sort of stuff. I do still consider it to be mine and my husband's business, even though he does very little in terms of making, creating and that sort of thing. He is still a very integral part of this business, because without him I can't do this. He is the one that supported me the whole way. He is the one that watched me shed tears when things aren't going the way they should be. He is the one that usually does the first happy dance when my little phone cha-chings at me. I do it too, but he's usually the first one to do that happy dance. He is there every single step of the way, supporting me, supporting those decisions, listening to me, rattling off the pros and cons of all the decisions before making one, and then, you know, helping me through it all. So even though this is primarily my business, I do consider it to be ours. And with a lot of the things that I was faced with last year in terms of my business, I have discussed so many things, and together we have come up with a bit of an action plan for this year, which will hopefully help to grow the business even more and really take it forward the way we want it. But I'm not going to be able to start revealing that until probably about May sort of time. We're just still trying to finalize a few things, so you'll have to watch this space. But I am so excited for this year and where we're going to be taking it. But for now we're going to have a pretty quiet, dull month. January is always traditionally very quiet. Down here in Australia we are in our school summer holidays, where the kids have that big long 6 to 8 week holiday break, and at this time of the year parents are busy spending money at theme parks, cinemas and all that sort of stuff to keep the kids entertained. So there's very little money coming into the smaller shops, and then you've also got, you're trying to pay off the Christmas credit card bill. So again, there's no money coming. People have to allocate their money into certain areas. They then have to buy all their back to school stuff for when they start the new school year. So January is always a pretty tough year in terms of business and how many customers we get, but I don't look at that as a negative. Yes, it's a little bit tougher, but I do actually purchase a lot of my materials that I'm going to need for January and February back in December. So I've made sure that I've got everything I'm going to need for this quieter time. So I'm not trying to look for money to purchase anything that I might need. So I've actually already got all that backup stock. And then what I do with January, knowing it's going to be so quiet, this is the time when I start to look at stocking up my shelves, looking at doing sales to get rid of the things that I no longer want to actually stock, and which will kind of entice those few little sales that come in. So I'm going to be restocking my shelves. I'm also going to be experimenting with new products throughout January. It's that time when you can really actually start to have a bit of a play and not have to worry about keeping those shelves constantly stocked up. So even though it's quiet, it's also a good thing. You have to look at the positives of things, and for me that positive is I get to have a play, I get to have an experiment, and I get a little bit of extra me time as well. Now this morning I did start my day. I spent about half an hour on the computer working on a few things, and then I had another half an hour where I actually sat. I cleaned the house the other day, and I found this puzzle book my mum had bought me 2 Christmases ago to keep me occupied throughout Christmas. So I've been sitting there doing puzzles in the morning just to kind of keep the brain active and just to do something for myself. So I did that this morning before coming in. So I do actually manage to find that little bit of extra time for myself. So it makes me feel even better at this time of year. First thing we're going to do today though is I do have a couple of orders that came in on the weekend. We're going to go and pick and pack those. I do have one product I actually really need to restock, mainly because it's on one of these orders and I don't have any on the shelf, but it does only take me about 5 minutes to make them, so it won't take me very long at all. So we'll get that restocked. That's my body wash. I always keep a body wash base, so all I have to do is go and grab the base and split it out for the fragrances, which is why it only takes me 5 minutes. So we're going to be able to restock those shelves, and then today we've got a few things I already have up on the board that I need to make, but today I think what I need to set aside time to do is I have a list of soaps that I need to restock to go on the shelves, and I've just not had time to set the oils. They're actually soaps that use a different recipe to my standard one, which goes into my big oil tank, so I need to get those soap oils ready, plus all the lye solutions that go with them. And I do also want to fill my lye tank up as well, because not my lye tank, my soap oil tank, because it is empty, and I do have a few soaps I want to make sure that I'm keeping that rotation of soaps going. So that's going to be today's plan. Let's get onto it by going to pick these 2 orders and making the product for one of them. Let's get onto it. is rather interesting. Just before Christmas I got in a new delivery of this size box from my usual supplier, and at the time I was actually using, I just opened up my Christmas wrap that I was using. Now normally with this size box I can lay it so it goes across this way and then it wraps the full way round, but my Christmas paper wasn't doing it, and when I looked at it I thought the Christmas paper might have been like a centimetre shorter than what this orange paper is. I thought, oh, that must be why. But I've just gone to wrap this box, and my orange paper is now a centimetre too short to actually overlap. So it looks like the box has a slightly different dimension to what it had, because this orange paper is still the same roll that I was using with the previous batch of boxes. So that's a little bit frustrating, because it does mean that each time I wrap this size box I do get some waste paper there, and there's just, I used to save all that paper and there's just no boxes that I use that are small enough to use those bits of paper. So that's a bit of a shame. Hopefully they bring back the previous size. I do know that it is a different die cut, because normally, I don't think we've got any pieces in there, normally when I take the little you know, bits of card that fall out, they don't usually have this bump on them, and now they've got this bump, so it's definitely a different die cut. And obviously now the boxes are just that little bit bigger as well, making it a pain in the butt to wrap these ones. Not a pain in the butt, just wasteful. But we'll still do it because it is a part of what people love about ordering from me, is getting their parcels all beautifully gift wrapped. So I'm going to keep doing it. I've just got this one last order to pack, and then I'm going to get on to setting up the soap oils for the soaps I want to make. So I've got the oil set up for 3 of the soaps that I want to make. I've done something really stupid. This morning I left home and I saw the coconut oil sitting there on the shelf. I thought I really should bring that down the shop. I'm pretty sure I need it. And then I thought, no, I'll have plenty down there. I've opened up the tin of coconut oil and I definitely don't have plenty. I had enough to set up these 3 soaps, but definitely not anywhere near even a quarter enough to fill up the oil melt tank. But that's not too bad. I'm still going to fill up the melt tank. I'm going to put in my solid oils and butters, get them to melt down, add in the liquid oils I've got, and because it is summer, the coconut oil is going to be liquid that I bring into the shop. So tomorrow when I bring that down, I'll just be able to top up the tank with that liquid oil, which should help to drop that oil, and then we can make a few soaps with it as well. But I did have enough coconut oil to do the 3 main batches that I want to do, which are soaps that are all going to be a little bit different. So I'll take you over and show you what we've got. This one on the end is actually not too different from my main recipe. It's got the exact same oil batch that I use, but I do have a different lye solution that goes in here because I use goat's milk, and I actually use the goat's milk as part of my lye solution rather than a powder. This one here is a pine tar soap, and it's not actually full in the bucket it yet. I went to put my rice bran wax in and I didn't realise that it had been sitting on the shelf for as long as it had, and I'm just not confident putting it in there, so I've decided to throw away what I had, and I'm going to go and get some fresh rice bran oil on my way home tonight, and then I'll top that up. This soap has proven really popular. I made it last year and it's been so popular I've decided to make it again and keep it permanent in the range. I will also be sharing this recipe over on Patreon this month, and any soap recipes I put onto Patreon are there for the life of what Patreon is there, so it doesn't matter which level you're on, you can always access my soap recipes that I share. And the other one I'm going to share is this coconut oil soap that I'm doing. This is part of the Patreon design, and I was asked to use coconut milk powder, coconut water and some coconut exfoliant, so I've decided just to go all coconut, and I've got coconut oil in there and just a little bit of shea butter as well to make it really nice and moisturizing. So the next thing I have to do is set up the lye solutions for all of these soaps, because they are different to my regular sort of master batch lye that I usually have at the back. But first up, it's about 12:30, so I'm going to go and grab some lunch first, and then I'm going to make my lye after lunch. So I managed to get everything done that I wanted to do today. So all those oils are all set, all the lye water's done. I have got all the other oils into the tank, and tomorrow I need to put 3.2 kilos worth of coconut oil into the tank, and then it's all ready for me to be able to make some soaps. I have quite a number of soaps that are about to come off of the cure racks. We've got like Gin Martini, Sunflowers, I've got a couple of others in there as well. So what I'm now doing is actually preparing the boxes so I can get these labelled up. They'll come off the rack in the next 2 days and we'll get those wrapped up. I've got about half an hour till I close, so that's why I'm choosing to do this now, because it's just something I can sit and do, and it doesn't matter if I don't get it all finished in half an hour. These are my little holster boxes that I put my soaps into, and then I use this Brother label printer just to print up some clear labels, and then I cut these up and stick them to the front of the boxes, pop the soap in, shrink wrap them, and then they're ready to go on the shelf and stuff. I did take the photos of them, so usually when I do my website I'll have 3 different photos. I'll have a lifestyle shot of the product, I'll then have a single photo of one of the soaps, and then I also have a photo that's got a few different soaps in them, because all the soaps can be slightly different. Sometimes we get soaps, like I've got a rainbow one there, every single soap bar is the same, but when you actually start looking at the ones that have got the swirls in, because they can be different, I do a shot that's got a couple of different soaps in, so you get an idea of the different designs that you may actually get. So I've done the photos, getting all of these done up. So I've got about half an hour until I am due to close, and then I've got to head down to the post office, and on my way back I have to stop and get some goat's milk, some rice bran, and I wrote something else down, some coconut water. So I stick yellow sticky notes to my phone so I remember what I actually need to do. So on my way back I'll grab those things. So tomorrow when I come into the shop, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to try and get in here a little bit early, and I'm going to start doing some of these soap videos. So we've got some soap videos for the new year, because at the moment I have absolutely nothing. So I'm going to get on to finishing that, and then we'll be back in tomorrow to make a few soap. Well, you'll see a little bit of it, but you'll have to wait until those full videos come out, and we'll see what else we'll get on to doing. Good morning guys, I've got about 2 minutes before I need to open the door. As I said yesterday, I came in early so I could make my soaps. I got here about 7:30 and it was absolutely chucking it down. So I waited until it eased up so we didn't get the rain sound on the roof, and then I got stuck into making the 3 soaps. They are all fairly simple ones. I'll show you in a minute once I've got my gloves off. I just need to clean up this little bit of mess, get the shop open, and then we can go on with the rest of the day. But I'm really pleased I got them done. They're very, very simple soaps, so they're going to be very quick videos that come out, which is kind of nice, as well as these really, really long ones. So as I said, I'm going to go get all this done, and then I'll show you these soaps. So here are the 3 soaps I made this morning. We've got a goat's milk and oatmeal soap. I have a pine tar soap, and this one here is called Cocoa Nuts, and it's one of the Patreon soap designs, and it's doing some funky stuff. You're just gonna have to wait and see the video, but you can already see that the top's doing some pretty funny things. It's going through an awesome gel phase, and because this is a coconut oil soap, I'll be able to cut this in about 3 to 4 hours time. But for now, what I have to do, this bit's looking a little bit cleaner, but I have all of this to clean up. I am so thankful I have got a dishwasher, so I'm going to get in here, clean it up, and then we'll get on with the rest of the day. So I'm going to leave this foaming bath whip to cool down for a little bit, and then I'm going to give it another bit of a blend just to make sure everything is well combined, and then let it cool right down before we add in the preservative. I have been busy wrapping up the soaps over here. I still have to do the seashells, and then I can shrink wrap everything. So my soap cure rack is looking pretty bare, but we've got plenty of soaps here to start filling it up. It's been about 3.5 hours since I made my coconut soap here, and it is feeling pretty hard. So I'm going to commandeer the camera and I'm going to go and cut this soap because I'm really keen to see what it looks like on the inside, and then I'm going to go and grab myself some lunch. Okay, so we've had a really productive day, a bit of a soaping marathon actually today. So I did get those 3 soaps done that I needed to do, and there were 2 other soaps on my list that I need to restock on the shelves. I don't often make remakes, but occasionally I will do a second batch if the first batch proved to be really popular. So the soap that you saw me make this afternoon, that is one that is called Alpha. I've never made it on YouTube. I did it last year as a test soap to see how it was going to go, and when I made it, it moved pretty quickly and it was quite difficult to get the swirl to go through it, but a lot of people have really liked it, and I've only got a couple of bars of it left now, and I have had people asking if I will make more, so I decided I would give it another go and make another batch. And I was all prepared for it to race super fast, but I must have been actually soaping at the right temperatures for it today. I've got the air conditioner on, which I don't think I had it on the last time, so it was a bit warmer in the room when I did it. I also hand stirred my fragrance in, whereas last time I think I stick blended it in, and that made a huge difference, so it stayed nice and fluid. So I'm hoping this time we'll get some beautiful swirls. It will darken up from that beautiful purple that I put into it, but it should still have those beautiful swirls going through. The other soap that I really need to make as a restock is one called Gardenia. I had someone ask me to make it ages ago, and I did, and it has been really popular, and over Christmas it pretty much all sold out, and I've had more people asking if I will restock it. And because Gardenia is actually one of my candle fragrances, I decided that I would remake it, and right now I am piping the little flowers to go on it. I think this is actually loosened up a bit, so I'm going to have to leave the white sit here for a couple of minutes just to firm back up. And I have got some yellow in this one to do the centers of these flowers. It's just starting to get to the right piping consistency, so I've just been actually piping the flowers onto my tray, and then when that yellow is right, I will go through and add my little yellow centers, and then tomorrow we'll make the Gardenia soap. I've got the foaming bath whip that is now all cooling down, and I've poured it into that new container because when it sets up it is actually quite hard, and I find it then harder to actually pull out of the container I made it in, and then when you scoop it into another one it takes up more space because it's got all the air stuck between like the scoops. So pouring it straight into there, I can get it into a smaller container, less space I need to find out the back. Gonna let that cool down, and then hopefully this weekend I can actually restock my cleansing body scrubs. I'm waiting on some new Ziploc pouches to come in because I've completely run out, and of course we had the Christmas rush and they've only just been sent this week. Hopefully I'll get them today or tomorrow, but they do come from down south, so it could be even next week. Yeah, it's telling me possibly Monday to Thursday next week, so I'm not going to be able to use that. But that foaming bath butter does go into my foaming face scrubs as well, and I do know I will probably need to make those over the weekend if we are busy. So, alright, this white has started to set up again a bit more. I do find that when you're piping, that constant movement of the soap, sometimes you find with soap, when you are moving it in the bucket, it stays nice and fluid, and then when you stop moving it, like when I make my dragon blood soaps, when you stop moving the soap, that's when it sets up quickly, and if you start moving it, it loosens back up. And I find that when you're piping the soap as well, so if it starts off quite nice and firm, and then the more you pipe, the looser that piping seems to become, and that's because you're constantly squeezing and moving that soap around. So then I just leave it sit there for 5 minutes just to firm back up again, and then we can keep piping and get the nice shape to our petals. So I will continue doing that. There isn't really much more for me to do today. I do need to make some foot soak, but again, that I'm still waiting on these pouches. So everything, all the rest of the stuff I did have planned to do this week, I'm not going to be able to do. So what I actually might do this afternoon, when I finish doing this, is sit down and have a bit of a look at some of the recipes that I want to have a play with this year, and see if I can start actually formulating a few new products. Alright, Right, it is another dull grey overcast day for Friday, so not sure what's really going to be happening. Apparently it's only about 23 degrees outside, but it's so muggy out there. I've had to put the air conditioning on in here. That's really keeping people away. Plus it has been raining as well, so we'll see how the day goes. I did bring down a couple of things that I needed to restock in the shop. I've got some isopropyl alcohol. I also have my box of clear bottles for my body wash because I've completely run out of those, so I'll go and put those away in a bit. But first of all, I want to show you what I actually walked into this morning. How disgusting does that look? This is the alpha soap that I made yesterday, and it should be purple, and that is not purple. That is a mix of brown and green and looks absolutely feral. So as I mentioned yesterday, when I made the alpha soap the first time around, it accelerated on me and the colours darkened up. So this is the alpha soap that I did last time around. You can see it's actually quite a dark purpley colour, like a purple grey. And the top of it did go a little bit green, but it certainly didn't go that colour green. So I'm kind of hoping that when we get it out of the mould and go to cut it, that there is actually some purple underneath. But I'm really not holding out much hope for it. And if it is purple underneath, hopefully while it's on the cure rack, it stays purple as well, and then maybe I can trim the top off. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's still soap. It still smells great, so it will still actually go out on the shelf for sale. It's one of those things that unless you actually tell people what's wrong with it, people never really know. So it's still going to go out onto the shelf. I'm just finishing packing up an order here that I received late yesterday afternoon for Karen. It came through a little bit too late for me to actually get it packed, wrapped and down to the post office. So I'm doing that this morning, and we'll take it down with this afternoon's post run. That's that done. I'm going to go put these bottles away. I've got a couple of these soaps to cut for YouTube videos, so I'm going to commandeer the camera for about 5 minutes while I do that, and then I'll try and work out what we're going to do for the day, because I don't really have a lot that I need to do. So I have just made some room spray because I realised I didn't have any lemongrass and Persian lime on the side. I've cleaned up out the back hall. Well, I've put all of the dry dishes away, so then we can actually start making some more soap. But first of all, let's unmold this one and see what's going on the inside, because oh gosh, that top just looks absolutely foul. The inside is a much better colour, thank goodness. Alright, let me get the liner off. Nope, the colour's not much better. It is looking a bit more purple on the screen from what I can see, but in person it's got more of a brown to it. So it's definitely not what I was aiming for. I really do not understand soap. It's one of the reasons I very rarely give advice on soap making, because it's just so different. It works one time and then it doesn't work the next. So yeah, I don't understand it at all. But you know what? It's still soap. We're going to get it cut open. Most people who are going to see this on the shelf aren't going to know it was meant to be purple. So let's just cut it. Well, it's a much better colour on the inside, and gosh, I love those swirls. That's so much better than the first bar that I actually did. So yeah, definitely can't be completely angry with it. Hopefully it doesn't discolour while it's sitting on the cure rack. In about 4 weeks time we'll see some pictures go up on the website of this one, so you'll be able to see what sort of colour I end up with. But yeah, it's definitely not what I intended, that is for sure. Just trying to get the colours. It's a bit awkward watching me do it backwards, but hey. So I'm not completely unhappy with it, but yeah, I'm not even going to pretend to know what soap does anymore. I'm going to finish getting this one off. I'm going to start setting up the oils. I need to do the gardenia soap, and then I'm in one of those moods today. I don't really want to do much, so I think I might just set up a whole heap of oils, go and see what fragrances are out the back, and do a couple of soaps. I need a few more which have got some exfoliants and things in, so that might be today's mission. here is the result of my soaping marathon. All 4 of my loaf molds are now filled up. I've got my gardenia and I'm pretty happy with how the tops turned out. It did move on me pretty quickly this time, whereas the first time I made it, it did stay a little bit smoother, but still going to be really happy. I gave it a really good chopstick swirl, and sometimes I get very lucky with that. I decided to do a remake of the Under the Sea soap because quite a few people have asked if I can remake that one, but this time, rather than just adding in the seaweed powder, I went for some glacial clay and I added extra spirulina into there as well to get that beautiful green colour. This one here, I decided to remake my calamine soap. Last time I made it, I really liked the soap, but I think I added too much calamine powder and it was a little bit softer than I wanted. So this time I've really cut back on the amount of calamine powder I put in. So it's a paler pink, and I've put in a really nice essential oil blend. And then this one on the end, have you ever had a fragrance that you've really wanted to soap with, but you've put it off for so long because you just thought it was going to be an absolute nightmare to work with? Well, that is this one for me. It's called Cuban Attitude. I have it in a body wash named Attitude and the men really like it, so I decided to finally give it a go in soap, and I'm super impressed with how well that behaved and loving the colours. So hopefully the colours behave better than what Alpha did overnight. We'll be able to have a look at that tomorrow. For now, I need to get this lot put into the dishwasher, and I won't actually put it on till tomorrow. I'll wait until all these oils and butters have actually saponified. And I can tell you, I really have not made that much mess. I have put some of my my dishes in here, but that's pretty much all the mess I made with 4 loaves of soap. I've learned to actually wipe all these containers out as I'm working. So I set up one batch, and when I finish, I wipe all the containers down and then I reuse them. So I actually don't end up with too much washing up. The only time I use new containers is if I've got a really unusual ingredient. So like down here, I had the calamine in a bowl, I've had my spirulina in a bowl, and I wouldn't have put the same into each of the bowls just to keep them separate. But when it is just my soaping oils and splitting them out for colour, they just keep using the same jugs, and it really cuts down on the amount of washing up. I did have a customer come in and she has bought me her big bag of refills. So this customer's been bringing me her refills for a long time now, and usually I have them turned around in a week for her, but I've had to tell her this time it's not gonna happen. I have pretty much used all of my wax. It is now all gone bar maybe half a kilo, which is, it's half a kilo of a different type of wax to what I normally use. Just before Christmas, as I was running low, I went to go and order it from my supplier. I'm really fortunate that one of my candle suppliers is literally 20 minutes down the road from the house. I went to order it only to discover that both the Brisbane and the Sydney warehouse were not shown as locations on the website anymore, and it's like, that's really weird. I tried putting in having it delivered, and it was going to come from the Melbourne warehouse. Now, to get it in from Melbourne, it was going to cost me an absolute fortune in shipping. I thought, well, maybe they just closed for the Christmas break. You know, an email would have been nice. So I kind of left it, and then just after Christmas I thought, right, normally they're back up and running by the first week of January. So I've gone on to go and order, because not only have I run out of wax, I've run out of 2 of my fragrances. I need some tea light boxes and a few other bits and pieces, and I've been checking and both the Brisbane and the Sydney warehouse have just been taken off the website altogether. I did have a look at the shipping again, and apparently they're now shipping out of Sydney. So I don't know what's happened. The only thing I can find on, I had a look on their Facebook and Instagram page, they've actually said nothing about the warehouse closing down. But I did see someone had left a comment, something to do with them relocating. But you know what, for the number of emails that they can send you about not finishing your shopping cart, and, you know, we've got this new product, come and more money with us. The least they could have done was said, hey guys, we're shutting the warehouse down for X amount of time. If you need anything, come and get it. So really, really quite ticked off with the company. And I did have a look at ordering in my box of wax, but it was going to cost me $30 to get it shipped. And that's adding on an awful lot onto the price of the wax. And I can't warrant paying $30 shipping for something that I should be able to drive down the road and pick up. So really, really cross. And a lot of people saying they're messaging them and not getting replies. So I know there's no point even messaging them, but I'm really, really cross. The last 2 times I've actually been into the warehouse in Brisbane have been a little bit questionable because the usual person hasn't been available. And I've had a few run-ins with one of the ladies there. She really clearly does not enjoy her job, and she actually missed out on about a $400 or $500 sale from me because she was so keen on getting me to pay for my online order rather than letting me browse the rest of the showroom to go and smell the new fragrances. I just went, fine, I'll pay and I'll go, and I walked out without buying any new fragrances and just thought, well, you know, I won't bother. And then when I got home, I discovered the order had been picked and packed wrong anyway, so I was really quite cross, especially when I wrote to them and got no reply, and I had to phone head office to get a reply about it. So I'm a little bit ticked off with Aroma right now. I am hoping that they'll get that act together and tell us when the warehouse is going to open up again, or if it's not going to open, so we can at least make plans. Earlier this year, I mentioned about getting my jars reprinted, and I was told, oh no, we don't do that anymore. It's like, did you not think to actually say that when you were going to stop doing it so people could have actually stocked up on their custom printed jars? It's so frustrating, but anyhow, not much I can do about it. So I've told my customer it's probably going to be a couple of weeks until I can do these refills. Otherwise I'm just going to have to come up with something different. Let's see what happens. Alright, I'm going to finish getting this lot packed away, and then it's got about an hour until I get to go home. I'm absolutely shattered now after making all those soaps, so I actually might just have a bit of a sit down and do a bit more admin work on the computer. So let's start our day off with a little bit of deja vu here. Of course, we've got 3 different soaps for this one, but our attitude has turned into a green monster top again. I don't know what it is about masculine soap scents that just tend to go green. I'm not entirely surprised because the fragrance oil is extremely dark. But as I mentioned, I do actually do this fragrance in my body wash, and I do it in this blue color, and the darkness of the fragrance doesn't actually affect the color in the bottle here. So I was hoping that maybe I would get a little bit lucky, but you know, we'll wait and see what happens when we cut it. Because you can see here on the shelf, this is the alpha one that I did, and it's still got that beautiful color on the inside. Yes, the top is very, very questionable. I don't even know if I steamed it, if it would actually take it off. I think the only way would be to actually shave it off here, but then that does result in a smaller bar of soap. So I'll just leave it for a couple of days and work out what I want to do. But hopefully when we cut into this one a little bit later, it'll be a nice color underneath and it won't play up too much. Okay, so I was running about 15 minutes late this morning. A few things have been happening. I have just had to very quickly open up the door because I saw some people looking through. Unfortunately, they didn't stop and buy anything. I think they're waiting for the Crocs store to open. I often get a lot of people coming in while they're waiting for the Crocs store to open up. But, you know, doors open, it's all done, so I can actually get on with the rest of the day. I was running a little bit late this morning because I've had to rethink my YouTube scheduling for the start of the year, so not a great start. The first video was actually meant to be an unboxing video, but that's just not going to happen this week. I have to actually delay that for a couple of reasons. So then that meant I've had no videos actually set up ready to go. So this morning I was spending a bit of time actually editing the cocoa nuts soap bar, and I just need to put some music to it tonight and then export it and upload it into YouTube. So hopefully that will be available this weekend. It's already out there if you're watching this now. And then I've got the other couple of videos that I need to edit as well for the next couple of weeks, as well as finishing editing the vlog, which takes forever to actually edit it. So I was doing that this morning, and I was also solving the world's problems with George over on Instagram. We often just throw ideas around with each other and have a bit of a chat and stuff, and I actually was picking his brain this morning. I bought a big pot of chia seeds from off of Costco late last year as a 1.5 kilo container, and I kind of forgot just how long chia seeds actually last. Like, you literally only use a tablespoon at a time, so 1.5 kilos is just going to last me so long. So I was asking him what his thoughts were about putting chia seeds into soap. When I first started making soap making, chia seeds had become like the latest craze, and I'd seen people asking about putting them into soap, and all these people said, oh, they'll sprout, they'll grow chia seeds in your soap. And talking to George, all I now have is this image of, you know, those little head things in a pot and then they sprout seeds out the top. I'm kind of thinking a whole new line of soaps, you know, a little head of soap with chia popping out the top of it. I don't know, that just really amuses me. But knowing what I know now about soap baking, I honestly don't think they're going to sprout because of the pH levels. If seeds were going to sprout in soap, you would find that the poppy seeds do as well, and they don't. So I don't think the chia seeds are going to sprout. But George did say one thing, which I do know is another concern, is that they do swell when they're in water. So he thinks that they will actually swell in soap. I'm of two minds of it, because yes, there's water in it, but it's all that chemical reaction and things like that. I'm hoping that what water is in soap isn't going to affect it too much. But you know what? There's only one way for me to actually find out, and that is to make a test batch of it. So I tipped some of the chia seeds into a container this morning. I've brought them down with me. I've got a couple of small molds up on the side there, so I think I'm just going to make myself maybe a half loaf size and see what actually happens, and then hopefully it works and I can use up some of these chia seeds that I've bought. I did put some in my drink this morning, but again, it's only like a really small amount, so it just lasts too long. So that will be one of my things I'm going to do this morning. And then just after lunchtime, we'll get on to actually cutting these soaps. I do like to leave them for the full 24 hours before I cut them. And then other than that, there really isn't a lot I need to do today. I'm going to get on to tidying up the soaps that are on the cure rack, getting them all nicely laid out, and then I've got 2 more soaps on there which are ready for actually packaging. So enough chit chat, let's get on to the day, and hopefully we get a few more customers come in. The sun's just come out, so it's looking really nice out there. as you can see, I made a couple of soaps. So I have got a new batch of Little Ray and Sunshines. I do try and make at least 2 batches every month in my quiet season and up to 4 in the busy season, and I realized I haven't yet made one. So I've made 1 batch this week. I'll make another batch next week just to make sure I have got enough, and they go out with all of my online orders. And then that is the chia seed one here. I'm hoping that sort of yucky yellow is going to come back into green. Green always morphs, so I'm not too worried about it at this stage. I chose to do green and purple in this because chia seed plants, they're green because they're a plant, and then they have little purple flowers on them, so I've gone with that. But I keep having visions of this soap just growing because the seeds are going to swell in there. I don't think they are at the moment, because at the end of the day, there's more oil in here than there is water, and you know, the water is I'm really hoping they're not going to swell. I know some of you are probably going to leave me comments down below about your experiences with them, which I am really keen to hear, but I'll get to find out over the next sort of, well, we'll find out tomorrow, and then the next 4 to 5 weeks we'll see what happens while it's on the cure rack. Hopefully it does work, because it gives me another exfoliant that I can add into my soaps. I currently use, I'm looking up there what I've got, I use olive stone, coconut shell, and I use apricot kernel, and I use poppy seeds. Now the coconut shell is actually very expensive, but it does give a really nice exfoliant in it, and same with the olive stone. It's not as expensive, but it gives this beautiful feel on the skin. I don't like really scratchy exfoliants like poppy seeds, so I like those sort of milder ones, and I've got quite a few customers that do prefer those milder exfoliants as well. So hopefully the chia seeds are going to work, and that gives me another mild one that's, it should be nice and smooth, whereas the olive stone and stuff can still feel a little bit scratchy on the skin. So hopefully it's going to give me another alternative. What I'm going to do now just before lunch is I'm going to start unmolding these, and we're going to cut them. So let's see what we've got. I've just popped my tray there, and I actually need to move that out of the way so we can unmold this one. So this is my new version of the Under the Sea, which I did do a video on. It was one of the Patreon soap designs, and this one has got Tasmanian sea kelp in it. And this time around I put in the glacial clay, and there is some spirulina, which was in the first recipe, and some seaweed powder. I did change the fragrance on it. Last time I used wood sage and sea salt, which I don't have any of the one that I like to use in soap. It was one that was sent to me from the US, and it was really, really nice in soap, whereas the one I have from my Australian supplier, I'm just not confident enough to soap with it. So this time around I used one that's called sea salt and vanilla, and I used it thinking it might actually darken up with that vanilla, but it's got that salty smell. The darkening won't matter with all of that green in here, but oh, it smells really good. You can still smell the seaweed in it. It's surprising how many people go, oh, it smells like seaweed. It's like, it's got seaweed in it. But it does have that sort of salty smell to it, and just that hint. It's not vanilla like a candle chemically sort of vanilla smell, but it's got just that hint of sweetness, creaminess about it. It smells really good. I'm going to get it cut open. So let's make sure I've got a good end piece there. I think I might just have it just a wee bit bigger. This is the mold that is actually slightly smaller. It's frustrating because it means I have to remember which mold to place where on these cutters. There we go. It was a little bit harder. And that is the inside. You can see there's a little bit of discoloring around there. So this is actually gonna, I'm gonna say, darken to that sort of green there, but it's still going to have a beautiful contrast. And that darker green, that is the spirulina, and then the glacial clay is that green. last time I used the glacial clay, I got this super bright green, and it was purely the amount I actually put into the soap. I decided to put less in this one this time to see what sort of color I would get out of it, and I'm super happy. I have had a number of people contact me about using that glacial clay and whether the color did hold, and it most definitely did, because that's one of the really hard things with green colorant, is getting one that will actually hold its color and stay green. Often if you don't use enough of the spirulina, that will actually fade away, but if you add enough, it will stay there. Whereas that glacial clay, it doesn't seem to matter how much you put in, it stays that beautiful green color. So it's definitely something, if you only use plant-based or clay sort of colorants, definitely have a look at getting yourself in some glacial clay if you can do so, because it gives a beautiful green. All right, so I'm going to finish getting this one off, and then we'll grab the next one to cut open. Alright, so the next one I have unmolded is the calamine soap, and oh gosh, it smells so good. I've got a combination of pink grapefruit in here, there's some sweet orange. Let me check what else I put in. We've got a bit of patchouli and bergamot in there as well. I was going to put some lavender in here, but it was just making the soap bar too expensive with having that calamine in as well. So I do have to be aware of what my base cost of my soap is to make sure I can sell them at the prices. If I'd put lavender essential oil in here, I would have had to be charging a whole lot more for this soap. Oh, that one's firmed up a fair bit. I love the colour this has gone. It's a really, really subtle pink and really reminds me of the calamine lotion. You can just see the gentle swirl of the uncoloured soap going through here as well. It had some kaolin clay in here, so it should be really, really good on the skin. The last time I did the calamine, I feel I put way too much calamine powder in, and it did make it go a little bit softer. This one is feeling much nicer, and I really like this colour. I could possibly bump the calamine up just a little bit more to get a slightly darker pink, and maybe do a darker pink swirl. I don't know, all things we can play with, but really, really happy with it. It smells absolutely amazing. So that is another one. Let me get this one off, and then we'll grab the gardenia. That's the one that actually accelerated on me, so I'm keen to see what swirl we've got on the inside, if any at all. Alright, so next up we have got gardenia. Again, I'm making sure I have a nice end piece. This is one of my bigger molds, so we can actually bump that down just a bit. That is looking good. The flowers didn't go on with any rhyme or reason, so I don't even have to line that up. Oh, done. Even though this is a naughty one for actually making the soap, it does smell really good. There's not much on that side, but we do have a little bit of the gold peeking through. So it did, yeah, unfortunately accelerate. So there's not too much of that swirly swirl happening, a bit more of a ploppity plop. And a little air pocket in that one too, but I'm still really happy with it. It smells really good, and it pretty much looks exactly the same as the last time I made it. So good for me, because I won't have to take new product photos for this soap. That's the only problem when you do take or do make different soaps each and every time, is that you have to take new product photos so people actually know what they're gonna get. So you can see all the pretty little flowers. I'm just popping them on my tray at the front here. So there is that one. Alright, so we're going to get this one off. Oh, there's hardly any colour in those. I'm going to get this one off of here, and then we're going to open up that Attitude one and see what we've got on the inside. Hopefully it's a nicer colour than the top. Might surprise us. Alright, let's see what we've got on the inside of this soap. Hopefully it is prettier on the inside than that top. Then I suppose this top's not too far off that sort of colour I was aiming for. It's got a bit of soda ash, so maybe a little bit of steaming or just a bit of a spray with some rubbing alcohol will help brighten it up. Let's get it out and see what's on the inside here. Oh, and it's not too bad. Oops. It's a little bit more greener than I was aiming for. I was trying to go, let me grab the colour. This was the colour I was going for, but as I said, the fragrance oil actually was quite dark, so it's no surprise that it has darkened up. Hopefully it just won't go brown, it will stay this sort of darker colour. It smells amazing. That fragrance has really shone through, so hopefully that stays throughout the cure. Let's cut through and see what's inside this one. Oh my goodness, that was the colour that I was actually aiming for. Oh wow, look at the side of that. Can't be crossed now. I love that swirl. It was exactly what I was trying to go for. Now, like with that alpha soap, only the actual outsides of that alpha soap and the top have stayed that dark colour, and the rest of it stays nice like this. So hopefully this one will do the same. But if you do follow along on Instagram, when this one is ready and goes up onto the website, that is when I take the final photos, so you'll be able to see what colour this one goes. So it will probably be ready in about February sort of time. Got a few bits hanging on where it went over the mold, but super pleased with the swirl. So all the little speckled bits that you can see in here is some olive stone, just for that little bit of exfoliating. I just felt that this fragrance needed to be paired up with a bit of exfoliation with it. It's definitely one I wouldn't mind having in my shower. It smells really good. Anyhow, that is all of them done. I'm going to get these off of here, and then we're going to go, well, first of all, I'm going to go and rethink my lunch plans. I was going to get some lunch from next door. She had put out last week that she had new work hours, that she was meant to be in from 8 till 1 today. She actually put posts out this morning saying she was open 8 till 1, and then it was about 11 o'clock and I saw her heading out with her bag and everything, and I thought, looks like she's closed down. I had actually spoken to her this morning and she said it was really quiet. She didn't really feel like doing much. You know, it was no customers, that sort of thing. So I think she's just decided to close up for the day, which, you know, we're all entitled to do that, but unfortunately she does that quite a lot. She puts it out there on social media that she's open and then she just closes. And I have actually seen a number of people coming by. They've gone up to her window and they've kind of peered through to see if she's there, and she's not. So people were going to come out for lunch, but because they weren't there for breakfast, she's kind of just given up for the day. But that does mean I don't have any lunch now, because I was going to have one of her salads for my lunch today. So I think I've got a can of tomato soup out the back, which I might heat up. It's a little bit warm for tomato soup, but you got to do what you got to do. But you know, that is one of the things in business, is that times are tough at this time of year, and it might be a different time of year in the country you're in, because I know in other countries the long school holidays or the summer holidays are at different times. So, you know, it might not be this time of year that's tough for you, but there are going to be months where it is super tough. And I know that feeling of sitting here having nothing to do and wondering if you're, you know, if your business is about to close down, or why did nobody like my products, nobody's coming. I know that feeling, but I also know that thing that you have to be consistent with what you do, and you need to be good consistent. So if you've said that you are going to be open, you need to stay open, and unless of course something drastic has happened, a family emergency, or you're sick or something like that. But you can't just close because you've got no customers, because what happens is, if you are consistently doing that, or consistently not turning up to markets, or doing something that when a customer does come along they can't get what they want, that consistency of letting your customers down is what actually drives them away. They won't come back. So when people around here have got the money to go out for lunch, and they've got, you know, the time and that sort of stuff, it's going to be the last place they're going to think to come to. Whether it is, you know, for me, if I just shut my door every time it was quiet like this and just went, I'm going home, when people have got the money, then going to think, well, I'm actually going to go here instead to go and get my candles rather than coming to me. So the fact that I'm bored out of my mind some days, the fact that I'm actually staying open, knowing that my customers can turn up and they're not going to be disappointed that I'm closed, really does help in the long run. And if you do have to close down early, or you can't get to a market that you're always going to, make sure you're actually putting it out there on social media. I did check, she's not put anything out there to say she's closed, so I am going to gather she's meant to be open for about another hour. I am going to suspect people will start coming in saying, where is she? Because people usually do. But yeah, it's definitely hard running your business in these quiet times, but you just have to keep at it and keep making sure that you are always there, so that when people actually do want you, they know that you're going to be here and you're not going to let them down. So with that being said, I'm going to go and find myself something for lunch, tidy up the soaps that are on that soap rack, put away the ones that are ready, and then hopefully it'll be almost my home time. If not, I'm going to sit, I've got a couple of posts I want to write up for Patreon, so I'll sit and do those for the afternoon. So I didn't do as much as I was hoping to do this afternoon, but I'm still pretty happy with what I've got done. Kind of hit a bit of a wall, and I am so ready to go home and just sit there and do nothing for the next couple of hours. So we've actually got 8 batches of soap up there, which all needed tidying up, stamping. I've also done a little bit more of the video for one of those soaps up there, but they're all tidied up, all sitting on there doing its thing. I didn't get round to packaging the last 2 soaps that are on there, which are ready to take off, so I'm actually going to do that tomorrow for Sunday. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit better day. I did have a customer come in today, another one of my regular refill customers, so I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and order. I wanted to take advantage of their bulk buy 5 boxes of wax and you get them for a better price. But there's just absolutely no point when it's going to cost me. When I put in for the 5 boxes, it was about $150 in shipping. I could buy another box of wax for that money. So I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and buy just one box of wax and pay that slightly higher price and the shipping, but at least then I've got candle wax so I can make some candles rather than worrying about it. Both the customers who have bought me refills have been really good, and they've said don't stress about it, just when they're ready sort of thing. But I still don't like doing that. I'm the sort of person that if something needs to be done, I have to do it as soon as I possibly can. I can't just leave things sitting there, because one of the things I was taught when I started working in one of my very first jobs is you never know what is around the corner. So if you've got a job that you need to do, stop putting it off, do it now, because around the corner may be something that actually requires more of your time and you don't get to do that first job, and then it all goes sort of pear-shaped and things can go really wrong. It was pretty much when I was setting up for doing restaurants and things like that. It's like, if you've got time, if you're meant to be doing this job, do it now, because around the corner we could get really, really busy, and then all of a sudden we don't have the stuff that we need to actually lay the tables, which leads to bad reviews, which leads to, you know, fewer customers and that sort of thing. So I've always, since I started my very first job, worked on this thing of do things now and get them done as soon as you can, so that at the end of the day, if nothing tragic happens around the corner or no emergencies happen around the corner, you've got free time to do whatever you want. So I basically hate having refill orders sitting there that I haven't got filled up. So if they're not open, the warehouse, by next week, I'm going to have to order and pay shipping. And I am so ticked off because the wax that I use is only available through, in fact, the two waxes that I've used are only available through this supplier. You can't get them from anywhere else because they've put a monopoly out there on it. So leaves us in a bit of a tough situation, because I don't want to get a new wax in and have to test it. My customers not like it. Yeah, anyhow, we just have to deal with those little things, but it's no biggie. We'll work around it. But for now, as I said, I've hit a bit of a brick wall. I need to get myself home. So I'm going to go and do that. And I'll be back in tomorrow for Sunday, the final day of the week. I had visions of coming into the shop this morning and actually finding this soap just blown up from the chia seeds expanding, but I think they may have swollen just a tiny bit, like just a teeny tiny little bit that you might actually find in your food. Like, I don't know if the camera's if you're gonna really be able to see it, I don't know. But I don't have this massive monster of a soap, but it has come back to a lovely green color, which is what I was hoping it would do. Let's just very quickly pull it out of the mold. I've got about 10 minutes before the shop opens. It is market day, but this time of year there's hardly any stalls out there, so it's not usually that busy. It doesn't actually start getting busy at that market again until and usually the last week of January, beginning of February, so we'll see how it goes. But there it is. Oh, we got a little bit. So I don't actually think they've swollen too much. Just a little bit, if at all. I don't know. I will get this one cut in just a moment, and then we'll pop it onto the cure rack. And then in about, well, probably by the time we have the next vlog, I'll be able to show you whether or not I've had any issues with having the chia seeds in here. But so far it's looking pretty promising. I am going to just go and get some of this lot tidied away, do the stuff I need to do out the back, like putting all the washing up and boring stuff like that away before I open the door, so that I'm not out the back when people actually visit. Alright, so I'm going to cut this before I open the door so I can show it to you. So I've just gone and grabbed Ida. Let's pop this one in. We'll get it lined up so we get my little end pieces. That is looking good, like that. Clunk. So it's not going to be too much in there. It was just a very simple green and purple, but I like that because the flowers on a chia are actually quite delicate little purple ones, so that looks really quite cute like that. Really, really pleased. As I said, hopefully the chia seeds will not swell and they will stay as they are. I'm fairly confident that they're not going to swell, because at the end of the day, yes, there's still water in here, but it's also surrounded by a whole heap of oil. Well, it's not oil anymore, it's a salt. So I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. It's that 4-week wait that is always the worst when it comes to soap making, but I'm pretty happy with how this one has come up. Oh, just giving it a quick smell. It was also a fragrance. I wanted to see how well it actually held in soap, and it has held up really, really well. I really like that bar. It's got lots of swirls through it. Alright, just gone and grabbed my trusty little tray to pop these onto so that they can sit and dry just for a little bit before I actually trim up all the edges and stamp them. Now, being a Sunday today, I'm probably not going to do a lot of talking on the video. I can already hear the music has started up outside. Plus I get quite a few more new people coming in, or quite a few customers coming into the shop. So it's a bit awkward stopping and starting all the time with the video. But we're going to get on and see how we go for the day. I'm going to unmold these little ray of sunshines that we did. Let's just do one so I can show you the colour. I've really got this thing for neons at the moment, and always come up so cute. That's going to definitely bring a smile to someone's face when they open up their parcel. I never used to like working with neons in the soaps. I found when I was using them, you could never get the colour to disperse and you end up with all these flecks. And then I was pretty sure that the neons were actually causing acceleration in my soap, which could have been because the amount I was mixing them to make sure it blended and everything. But a few years on, and I've learned a lot more about colour and that sort of thing, I am actually finding the neons really nice to work with, and I've been experimenting with them in the little ray of sunshines. I love that combination. I think I'm going to have to do that in a soap because that combination is so cute together. But yeah, I've really enjoyed working with the neons, so you might see a few more neon coloured soaps coming out. I'm going to finish getting these unmolded. It's about ready, about time I opened that door up. I've got some soaps on the cure rack that I am going to wrap up, and then that's pretty much it. I don't do a lot on Sundays, as I said, because we've got people coming in and that sort of thing, so I don't actually do a lot on Sundays. I think the only other thing I've actually really got left to do is a little bit of admin work, so I can start catching up on that before I go home this afternoon and do the rest of it. So let's get that door open. having this mum bin printer for a few years, I have finally worked out how to load labels into here so that you don't have any wastage. If you ever saw the unboxing I did of this printer, I did say one of the things that I didn't like about it was that we had a lot of wastage of labels, but I have finally worked it out. Someone said you used to have to feed it from the back, so you'd bring it up and it wouldn't waste any, and it would still waste one label rather than 3 of them, but I've now worked out. So if you now actually line your label up so it's just behind those bars that are there, and I do it so that it's actually within the guide, and then close the lid. I have to wait just a couple of seconds for it to kind of set itself, and then gently push. It then feeds the paper through and brings it to the beginning, and now there is no wastage of these labels. It's taken me so long to work that out. Okay, so as you can see, I am back home. I'm in the office. I'm waiting for the house to cool down. It was really sticky and horrid when I walked in. So I've actually just gone around and shut all the windows and doors, and I've put the air conditioning on. So hopefully it will start to actually cool the house down a little bit. And then I've also just put all of the dirty cloths into the washing machine from work. That wasn't just from this week. I've been meaning to bring that basket home since before Christmas, and I just kept forgetting. And on my way out the door today, I thought, I've got to pick up those dirty towels and bring them home and wash them. So I've just popped them in there, and they'll be ready for me to take back into work next week. It actually ended up being a pretty good week, even though it was quiet in terms of the number of people that came in. The people that were coming in had higher than average spends, so I actually ended up having a very good week. I was very, very surprised. I did have a little bit of a panic attack today because I had quite a few people come in today. It's been a really, really good day, but I had yet another person bring me in candle refills, and I'm just thinking, this is getting insane. I've not had refills for so long, and then all of a sudden, because I've got absolutely no wax, everyone's bringing me their candle refills, and I just thought, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and actually order the wax and just cop the shipping and get it bought in. And so I actually jumped onto the supplier webpage, and I put in just to order 1 box. I thought, I can't get the multi-buy price on the wax. I'm just gonna order the 1 box, cop the shipping for that 1 box, and when their Brisbane warehouse opens up again, I will get the multi-buy offer of 5 boxes to bring the price of it down. And when I went to go and check out, I noticed that they're shipping out of Brisbane again. Yay! And it does look like what I read on one of the Facebook post things, that they have actually relocated their warehouse because it's now shipping out of a suburb called Richmond, which I'm so annoyed about, because they have actually moved probably about 40 to 50 minutes away from where I am. Previously, they were literally 20 minutes down the road, and it was so easy for me to get. Both of their locations that they've had over the last few years have been literally 20 to 25 minutes away and really, really easy to get to. This new location they've moved to is 40 to 50 minutes away. A possible toll road to make it a shorter trip, or to avoid the tolls is going to be a longer trip, and it's not easy to get to. I am so ticked off about it. More so the fact that they didn't tell anyone, and they've, you get all these emails from them, and you get all these random silly posts on social media, but they've not updated their customers on any of it. It would have been so much better if a week before Christmas they'd just said, we are closing down for this number of weeks for all our Brisbane customers. If you need anything, come and get from us. Because I'm sure a lot of people would have gone and bought stuff, and then they wouldn't have had to move that stock. I don't know where their thinking was, and I know they've upset a lot of people, but with this new location that they're in, it's too hard, too difficult for me to go there. They do offer free metro shipping, so I just went, you guys can wear the shipping costs. So I did end up ordering the 5 boxes of wax, and then the fragrances I'd run out of as well, and then I've just let them do free shipping. But the other really daft thing is that I used to go and pick my stuff up from the warehouse, and then I'd go into the showroom, smell all their new release fragrances, and probably add another $100 to $300 worth of fragrances as an impulse buy. I won't be doing that anymore, so they're lost, but at least I know I've got some wax on the way this week. Hopefully it gets here this week so I can do all these candle refills that I've got. So, and I know some people would be saying, well, just go and buy your wax from somewhere else. The problem is this supplier actually put in a, I've forgotten what you really call it, almost like a tender sort of thing, to the manufacturer of this wax and asked if they could be the sole distributor here in Australia. And it is a good wax, and I'm actually swapping to another wax as well, which is only sold by them. And I know that these waxes are good, they behave well, I can work well with them. I am envious of all you guys who can use Golden Wax 464. To me, that stuff is just, it doesn't like me, I don't like it. So, and now the new price of it is just not worth the new price of that 464. So it does make it difficult. I don't have any other choice, but at least I have got some wax ordered and it should be on its way soon. So that was one really good thing about today. That was one relief. I should be able to do these candle refills next week. I am going to have a short week next week though. The next few weeks are just jam-packed for me. I can't believe it. Like, January is meant to be a quiet month, and yet my social life is going to be jam-packed. I am closing the shop on Wednesday this week. It's my husband's birthday on Friday, and he's been saying for quite a while that he would like to go and do this dinner and show place down the road called Outback Spectacular. And what it is, it does a lot of it involves a lot of horses, cattle, a very Australian sort of outback style of show. And they do different shows every couple of years. It gets changed. Like the last one I went to see was all about Phar Lap. If you don't know who Phar Lap is, a very well-known racehorse, especially down here in Australia and New Zealand. And I think he did actually win a few international races. I could be wrong on that, but they did a show about Phar Lap, and I actually learned a lot about Phar Lap that I didn't even know about him and was very surprised. But they do lots of different shows, and my husband said he would actually like to go and see this new show quite some time ago when they started advertising the new show. And so this week I actually decided, well, the other week I decided I was going to buy us some tickets to go. And there's not a bad seat in the arena, but I did decide this time, rather than just getting the regular seats, I was going to get the top rail seats, which gives you the view straight down the arena. So I booked us some top rail tickets, and then I've also booked a behind the scenes tour as well. So we need to get there a little bit earlier, and they're going to take us out the back to meet a couple of the cast, and also to meet the animals as well. So the dogs, I'm imagining it will be mainly the dogs and the horses, but they do have like cows and all those other sort of animals. And I think this one's actually got a bird of prey from what I've seen in the images, so we might even get to see the bird of prey as well. I don't know, but I'm really, really excited about doing that, and I haven't told him. All I'm going to do is on Tuesday, I'm actually going to take him shopping for the other part of his birthday present, which is a pair of trainers, something else he says he wants. So I'm going to take him to do that, and then in the afternoon on Tuesday, I'm going to pretend to cook him a lasagna for dinner. I'm going to go get all the bits tomorrow to do it with, but then I'm going to pretty much say at 4 o'clock, I'm not going to cook dinner. We're going out, go and get dressed. I've got somewhere in mind, and then I'm just going to take him out to go and do dinner. So hopefully he's going to enjoy it. I know he will. But then my sort of thing was, how do I get him up to his mum's for his birthday? Because he's working on his birthday as well. So we're going to do that on Tuesday. I contacted her to say, this is what I've got planned. I still want to come up and see you. Can we come up on Tuesday before I announce closing the shop? So she said yes. So I've just said to hubby, we can't go up on Tuesday. So he doesn't know we're busy. He thinks his mum's busy. I didn't lie to him. I just didn't tell the whole thing. I let him make up his own story about why we couldn't go up there on Tuesday like we normally would. So we're going to go up on Wednesday, and then the following week is my family's Christmas thing with my mum and dad, because that's my family that's here. We have my mum and dad, and then I've got me and then hubby. For Christmas, we actually don't buy presents for each other. We might have, I started a tradition last year, which my mum continued this year. I made some Christmas crackers for us to go on a breakfast table, and then I shoved like little $10 presents into everybody's thing. So like a pair of earrings from my mum and a little bottle of aftershave from hubby, and I can't remember what I put in my dad's, but we, there's just something little, so you can pull a crack and you've got something on Christmas Day. But other than that, we actually don't buy each other presents, because we've kind of got to that point in life where we don't need or want anything. There might be little things like mum and I are always loving earrings, so you know, you can always do that sort of thing, but there's nothing that we ever really want that's reasonable to ask for Christmas sort of thing. And we came up with this thing a few years ago that we would much rather do an experience together and do something as a family and build on those memories rather than physical things that these days just don't last. But we'd much rather build on those memories. So some of the things we've done in the past, we've gone and done escape rooms, we've done a mosaic, Turkish mosaic craft class, we've done things like axe throwing. God, that was fun. That was so much fun. And then we usually go out for a lunch or a dinner. This year I did suggest to my mum that we went to a place called Paradise Country, just down next to the Outback Spectacular, which is like a cafe animal farm. Both my dad and I are very big on animals, and Matt likes them as well, so I knew that my dad would enjoy doing that, so I suggested we do that. But with all the big storms that have been down at the Gold Coast, they have got on their website that they are actually still temporarily closed while they fix some of the animal enclosures, get the animals back to normal. It was pretty stressful for them. There were little mini tornadoes that went through in the area, and the animals aren't used to that, so they're just trying to get the animals settled back in again before they allow tourists to go back through. So I actually suggested to my mum, well, none of us have been to Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary for many years. I'm sure it's been at least 20 years since I was there, and you used to be able to go feed all the lorikeets and everything. So I said, why don't we go back down there? None of us have been for a long time. And when I was looking at their website, they do this package deal that worked out to be the same price as us going to this Paradise Country, where we were going to do some animal experiences like feeding the marmosets that they have. They did this package deal for the four of us where we could actually spend an hour in the wildlife sanctuary hospital. So they'll actually take us into the back and go and see some of the behind the scenes. We might get to see an operation, get to see some of the animals in recovery, see, you know, what good they do, because they do an absolutely amazing job. All of our veterinary places here do an amazing job looking after our wildlife, but you don't get to see it. So I think going down to the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, it's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to go and do this tour of the hospital, then we'll get to go through the sanctuary. And it's not like a normal zoo. A lot of the animals that are in this sanctuary are animals which have been injured out in wildlife, out in the wild, and a lot of them haven't been able to be rehabilitated enough to get them back out into the wild. If they put them out there, they would never survive. So they actually keep them in the sanctuary. So there's things like koalas, kangaroos, birds, all that sort of stuff. So it's a really nice place, and all that sort of money goes back into actually keeping that wildlife fed and looked after. So I'm really looking forward to going down there the following week. And then the week after that, we're going to go and see Chicago. So I've got a busy rest of the month, but you don't need to know any more of my personal going-ons of what we're doing. This week has been actually a pretty good week in the shop. I'm really happy with everything I managed to get done. In fact, I got everything done that I set out to do, apart from the cleansing body scrubs, because I haven't got the packaging, which is due to arrive here tomorrow, my Monday. So it has been a great week. I hope you have enjoyed coming along with me, seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff, listening to some of my rants and raves over silly things. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. It really does help the videos to get out to more people. I hope you've enjoyed it again. Until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.